Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's GGT. The topic of this GGT is critical discourse analysis in multicultural context. It is an absolute privilege to conduct this session under the esteemed supervision of Dr. Mohammed Hussain. Sir, your rigorous academic guidance contributes to push us in a deeper kind of critical inquiry of critical discourse analysis, particularly in multicultural discourse context. And I am Anand, serving here as the moderator in this session. Joining me in this section is Ranjadari. He is lecturer and he is scholar here in this university. Ms. Afia will also join us in this panel. And at the end, fourth presenter is Aisha will discuss and join. And these all participants presenting a critical pillar on critical discourse studies. Mr. Ranjadari will guide us to the foundational analytical matters. Ms. Afia will examine the vital pathways of interdisciplinarity. And finally, Ms. Aisha Tahir, who will unpack the complex dynamics of social beliefs and Harvard. Today, we aim not only to dissect critical discourse analysis, but to actively explore the fundamentals of approaches, methods, interdisciplinarity, and social perspectives of critical discourse analysis, and finally relate with practical applications of critical discourse studies. Let us start with the part that is approaches to critical discourse studies. These are many, but I focus on fewer ones. The first one is dialectical relational approach. This is presented by Noble Theory. And the core of this, approach is three planes of discourse. The first one is action. The second one is discursive practice. The third one is social. And this is not a single segment. Basically, this is an orientation which is an evaluation of different perspectives, different claims, different approaches, different analytical methods, and we can include multiple areas, and we can discuss in different domains and areas of discourse analysis. So if we talk about dialectical relation and relational approach, the focus is on three pillars, as I have already mentioned. That's first, we try to explore the textual elements of the discourse, and then we link it with discursive practice. What kind of discursive practices are there in this discourse? We try to explore who is the producer of discourse, who has produced this discourse, and who are the consumers of this discourse. So, and finally, we try to link these constructions to the social practices, how these are embedded in social arenas of discourse. And I will keep all these approaches very short due to shortage of time. The second one is social cognitive approach. Here we can find a difference. We can embed another element that is missing in the previous one, that is missing in dialectical relational approach, that was cognition. So here we will add cognition. First we will discuss micro level, that is again textual level, then cognition level, and finally macro level, that is again linked with social realities of life and social practices. And here cognition is very important. Cognition is not a generalized idea. This is basically very important phenomena in critical discourse analysis, and this is basically an individual's entity. We as an individual have their own perspectives, we have their own schemas, and we have our own framing to understand the things, to understand the phenomena. And then there is another approach that is again very, very important, and this is discourse history, where we discuss discourse with reference to pre-existence, with reference to previous ideologies, with reference to previous entities or different other discourses. And here the point that is very much important, that is intertextuality. And you must know what is intertextuality. We most of the time for other persons' quotations, other persons' references in our discourse. So in such way, intertextuality works in discourse. And sometimes we may add interdisciplinary also in critical discourse analysis, and particularly with DHA approach. And in DHA approach, we merge different phenomena, like we merge music, we merge a kind of text, we merge other genres of fiction and non-fiction in DHA approach, and this would be called as sometimes approach. So here we start from a particular specific point of time, and then we explore those things with comparison with the recent times. So in this way, this approach works. Then another approach that is very, very important in critical discourse analysis, and this is multi-modal critical discourse analysis. And in multi-modal discourse analysis, again, we mix certain other approaches together. For example, here, the focus is not only and only text. And we do not focus only and only discursive practices and social domains of discourse, but the focus turns towards images. The focus turns towards visuals. So whatever we have mixed in previous approaches, we embed all such kind of elements in multimodality. And in this way, it is a kind of very unique type of discourse which focuses on multi-dimensions of discourse. Here, discourse is not fixed to text. Here, discourse is not fixed just on your population. So here you may find an amalgamation of different approaches which are working together. Another very recent intervene of corpus is very important. Now you know this is digital and we cannot provide such kind of technology in discourse. And this was first negated. If we talk about direct recognition, approach, you cannot find such kind of such kind of methodological tools in those kind of discourses ways of analysis. But here, in this approach, the focus is on how to basically gather data, gather corpora. And you may collect data like speeches, you may collect data in form of speeches, in form of editorials, in form of even images, in form of some type of newspapers, legal documents. So there is a long list of corpus. And the focus of concern in corpus-based approaches is concurrences, occurrences, and frequencies. So here you may find that corpus is not only an entity that can be analyzed as a spoken medium concern or as a written medium. But here you may find another element that can be quantified. And here obviously we will focus on the frequencies, concurrences, sometimes this is context. So this is also very important. And another important approach, a very important approach, that is positive discourse analysis. Here the focus is transformation. Here you may embed a worldview that is based on reforming the society. We have different issues in our society, like marginalization. We have a kind of issues based on racism, based on fake news. So all such kind of issues can be sorted out in under this positive discourse analysis. And here there is a very important thing to demark just critical discourse analysis and positive discourse analysis. Most of the time, critical discourse analysis uncovers wrongdoings, wrong things. But here the focus is on positive elements of the society. Here the focus is on transformation of the society. Here the focus is on change, but not a negative change, but a positive change in the society. So in this way, you will find that these all approaches are very much relevant to discourse studies. And in the end, I am language applications. How can we apply these approaches to discourse studies, and particularly in multicultural context? Here, the floor is open for you. For all the panelists, you may start certain questions, you may raise questions, you may discuss any point of concern, and you may add in these approaches also.
Okay, I must remind you that it was wonderful opening. Where you introduce the basics of CDA, how CDA, different schools, different analytical school of thought, critical, quantity, proof order, quantity, modality, different models to discuss. But we must start why there is need of CDA, and then when I talk about the history, there was a time when it was only grammarian school of thought.
Yes.
Latin and Greek was taught in the schools, and only GTM was applied, and the purpose was translation and shifting the knowledge from old civilizations to the new, especially in the Renaissance. What changed? And the changes there requires this linguistics, text linguistics. And Chomsky is a big name in that era. And in the case of Chomsky, the DGG, transformative generative grammar, and the reward he brought in his syntax. Even he was not mindful about the context. And there was realization with the changing socio-political scenario that context must be captured, and that generated text linguistics. So text linguistics turned into discourse analysis when the textual complexities were captured well by the linguists, the language students and scholars. They started focusing on the context. Then the power, ideology, manipulation, dominance, all the agenda, ideological warfare, all this that started being discussed, especially when these big founding fathers gathered there and together, and CDA came into existence. Now, one colleague is of the opinion that CDA term is mistaken. Well, it gives the impression that it is only in the relevant use, whereas it is a bigger agenda. Today's session, by the end, we will reach out to this conclusion that CDA umbrella is bigger than the sky. It covers everything, all scenarios where human beings are in interaction with others, and whenever there are issues because of that interaction or interplay or communication, the issues which are captured by social scientists, that comes under the umbrella of CDA. So this was overview of the past and then connecting it to what I have presented. Now, my crucial concern is that, well, now we are entering into a post-modern kind of scenario. And in this scenario, there is AI all around.
Yes.
Now, I feel very threatened as a CDA practitioner and as a CDA researcher that my role as a researcher is very, very vital now. It has become more crucial because my presence as a human being in this scenario that would determine the direction which AI can take us to. Otherwise, if it goes uncontrolled, that will play havoc with humanity, and that will destroy our emotional existence and spiritual existence also. So we as agents of positive change, CDA practitioners, they are authors, they are community citizens, they have something to achieve, they have their agenda, they have all the time, they are activists. So we as social scientists and activists, we have a role to play in the modern time. So this was the of my observations. House is open for further discussion.
Okay. Thank you so much for the discussion and having studied the interactive approaches to CDS. Now we will talk about tools and analytical methods. Those are working in critical discourse studies, and particularly in multi-classroom context. To lead us into analytical methods, I called Mr. Anjali, and Mr. Anjali is a scholar whose sharp analytical focus makes it perfectly suited to break down how we transition from approaches towards analytical methods. Now, Mr. Anjali, always yours.
Thank you so much, colleague and friend, Mr. Alfred, for introducing the foundation of critical discourse analysis. You have really provided a very strong foundation starting from dialectical approaches, pattern recognition, and discourse historical intertextuality, multimodal discourse analysis, corpus, media, and post-discourse analysis. This is what that we can truly call the foundation of thinking, and that has provided a very strong platform to me that I have to present or have to present about. And I would also like to thank Professor Dr. Saur Hussain at this point, because he has also raised concern that that should not be the question just providing the theoretical framework at this level of studies. So, respect to step, our aim is not to have mentioned, we aim to reach that stage of critical discourse analysis where AI and social media and all the current situations are very challenging, and we are going to reach that destination. But I believe that there is a way, step by step, from theoretical and keep on spirituality and different domains of civilization. So we aim to be there step by step. And after presenting the strong foundation, and I believe that the presentation was very engaging, and it explored the area which we have been discussing for the last 4 months, and we are quite in with all these things. So I would like to put my point here as I will present the analytical approach of critical discourse analysis, and I'm going to write a practical blueprint where all the theories will be operationalized. And I am dividing my part, which I will discuss in 3 parts. One, I will be talking about the linguistic system, the proper lexical grammatical features of text, how language operates, means we as users have choices to pick and drop words. And second point is going to be context and culture, which is very important without that we cannot understand the crux of the meaning. And last is the meaning beyond syntax, and that is also what the CTA is, the language in use. So I think step by step we will go ahead towards our destination. So first of all, I will be talking about the linguistic element. That is well explained by Faith. Rather stipulated from linguistic, has mentioned that there are 3 steps that we create communication, interpersonal, and textual functions of the text. That shows our context, our relationship and the use of language, and the discursive use of language that help us to present our response, situate us in a situation. So in this there are very important steps that play a role in forming meaning. First of all is the transformative, which is very important. This is what we have studied in language, you enter the language, the transformative process, but even in singing, it has its role. And it has opened our eyes to see and observe it, the role of positivity in the common discourse, in the social media discourse, media news means I would like to add examples here. Means short protest versus the protest was short. Means in one the agency is limited. Similarly, we have seen in our social media the petrol prices have been reduced by the Prime Minister. But when it comes to raise the prices are raised. So it doesn't play a very important role in all the levels. It establishes the position of the media and other sources of communication. And in a similar way, there is normalization. Instead of using the subject verb and point it present in the normalization way, in the norm, like I have an example here, they decided becomes the receiver. Means subject is pointed, means whatever is happening, it has been presented in a very objective way. And third is, that is absolutely crucial, that is modality. Modality has been divided into 2 parts, like strong modality and weak aspect. Weak modality, like strong modality, like the shows of the word, the must, means at any cost. This shows the power of the user and the choices that might maybe. This shows that the user is not as powerful as he or she is. And the next is appraisal, means in the communication we also observe how the things have been presented, either in named or appreciated because of the effort. So it is also a very important aspect of communication. We study as a true analyst, we find that the meaning is not to the surface level, it is beyond that. And linguistic level, even the linguistic choices help us to understand the position, the political choices, and many things. The population, we can explore all these things with just language. And after the linguistic system, the next one is context and culture. Yes, context and culture is very important. Whatever is said, who said it, where he said it, what was the occasion, who said it, and for whom it has been said. So all these points are very important. Considering all these things help us to understand the way we move. Taking a word out of the context, a meaning can be changed. So, CA also guides us to be very of the context. That is a crucial part of the application. This is actually what CA is. The second is discursive practice. Means how texts are produced, distributed, and consumed. Which agencies were there, because all these are known. There is also one of the series practitioner studies, and there is a social practice. Means here we see the ideological structures of language and how it is presented in the text of the demonstration. This is also based here, and there is also global context presented by immediate setting. Broader structures means one is a very immediate context, a very local context, and the other is the established norms, the things which are very common in that particular context. So we have to make a distinction between these two immediate and broader structures. And the next is ethnography. Ethnography is to see, to immerse into the local culture, not just to observe the things as outside, rather to study the things by being a part of the culture. For instance, here I would like to give a very impact example, like very famous number of by with Venus. And their knowledge is very connected with the preacher they have produced. Few writers have, two writers have translated them. One was the Discourse, and the second was the David Mitchell. David Mitchell was not well ethnographically aware of the communication and the norms of their area, so he tried to translate it, but he missed many things. Means the Amrata was geometrically very strong, but that ethnography areas were not, the translator was not aware of that. So, as a result, he did not know justice with the text, and he presented his own way, although trying to provide a very close translation of the novel, which was full of idiomatic expression, like there was an expression here, European novel, it has a meaning to respect someone, it can be translated in the technical. So there are some problems which are very important to go into the culture, to see, to associate, not just as an outsider, rather by being the part of it. Like another example I want to add that we being Pakistani, there is a common perception that Pakistan is somehow associated with terrorism, but people who visit our country, they find Pakistan people are less like. So this is the example of ethnography, which is I think very important in discourse and in general discourse. The third is pragmatics. Pragmatics is also is not just about the words, it is more than words. It means what is said and what the speaker means. We welcome example, close the door meaning, not just closing the door, we have certain other ways. So, and similarly, there is a presupposition, there is a pre-awareness of context. We consider like if it is mentioned that the king of France is born, so it shows that France has a king. So I think presupposition is important, and then the speech and theory, how action performed through language, threatening, warning, these things are there, and also another aspect of letting belong is metaphors. In metaphors, there are some concepts which are abstract in our mind. So the user of the lesson try to connect the abstract content, abstract ideas with the concrete ideas. the immigrants have been aware with floods, the waves of migration. So, and the floods, the waves are considered as dangerous. So, by using many words, they achieve a bigger goal of preparing people that they have to discourage immigration and immigrants. And this is happening in many Western countries. So this is also a common strategy that can be studied and observed in German communication and media communication. And there are some also particular discourse where immigrants have been considered swarms of immigrants. There are some biological reasoning behind these. So, staying in the same topic, another point I would add is returning our foundation in politicians and the users of language. They try to use language to achieve the maximum out of it. Like very classically, ethos, and logos being ethos, like they try to convince the audience that they are in a position to talk about their topic. They have expertise. Means students are sitting here with the realization that we being paid students, we have the license to talk about CPA because we are sitting here. So this shows our character. Then second is the pathos. We try to convince other emotions. I have been convinced to recent things with pathos examples and logos. And we will try to convince that they are examples, so that the other can be. So this is a very common practice for the language user. This is what we also study. And there are other examples like Pharisees versus intelligent discourse that is also there are also in the similar way, the critical discourse classes. So overall, I end my point that I am and to sum it up, I would recapitulate the problem is that how these levels are presented, starting from the linguistic, then moving towards the contextual level, and then ending at speaking the sentence. So I think it makes a very systematic flow from language to the context, and then we are reading 21st. So, often I believe the foundation of critical discourse analysis, it is very important for us to look at how practically, how language, lexical, grammatical choices, the context, and metaphors, and rhetoric play its role to communicate whatever is there. That's our concept.
Thank you, Mr. Jadali, for that incredibly comprehensive, precise breakdown of analytical methods. And now the floor is open for discussion.
So I'm very happy the thematic flow, I talked about the origin and background of CTA and how it is now CTS, and then foundation of CTS, and then analytical approaches to CTA and CTS. So far we have been moving in a very wonderfully thematic way, origin and history, foundation, and analytical approaches towards CTS. Many people blame CT practitioners that their logical and analytical boundaries are blurred. And today, listening to Abdul, he has tried to somehow present a complete picture. 3 levels and layers, CTA practitioners claiming one or 2 of them, or all 3 of them. Now, I want you to discuss that what be the selection criteria of analytical approach in your project, wherever you are producing a project? What should be the guiding principles to pick one out of so many analytical portraits or approaches?
Yes, sir, actually, I think as a new in the field, I think the easiest and the more scientific way is to take linguistic choices. I think the easiest and employ analysis of norms, fields. So, instead of going to the context, specific context, and though there are methods, overall focus is on the linguistic choices. Methods are also two methods that we use. So I think for people like us who are new in this field, so I think starting from the linguistic
I think that when we say that we show our helplessness, our background training, we are trained in GTM and focus on the text and sentential kind of situations, grammar and vocab. When we are put into CDA campaign, or certainly feel baffled. Now what to do? CDAs are abbreviated in languages and then the typical response, mostly from our supervisors, is that well, let's start with text in the linguistic level, and then we should encourage them. Okay, that is part of the analysis, micro, and gradually move on to the macro. And then you move on to the second layer, the third layer, and then you begin to do some of the units and the diagram. What helps you achieve your objective? That is crucial. The selection point must be that you set the objectives, and those objectives can be best achieved by doing linguistic analysis only, or doing macro analysis, capturing the context, whether bringing in CP or outside model, visual grammar, or whatever. But the point is, if you can defend your choice and if you can prove that will help you achieve your objective, good. And that is the beauty of CPs. Here, whatever methodological course you take, nobody will object to that as long as you prove that will help you achieve your CPA agenda.
And also we see that this CDS is not just a linguistic concept. It borrows certain things from other religions, from other fields, and from other areas of critical domains. So here, the part that focuses on interdisciplinarity, and here I will invite the third participant, and she will explore all these boundaries of critical discourse analysis. Please.
So that's right.
First of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present my part. My topic is about interdisciplinarity in critical discourse studies. Before discussing in detail, I would like to briefly define what interdisciplinarity means. Interdisciplinarity means combining techniques, methods, knowledge from different academic disciplines to understand a particular issue more effectively. In CDS, language is never understood in isolation. Instead, discourse is analyzed with society, politics, media, because all these factors influence the production and interpretation of discourse. The central message is very simple. To understand discourse, we must also understand the society in which discourse is produced. Now I want to talk about the critical discourse studies in social theory. basically, this area tells us that language is not just a part of communication, not just a source of communication, it also a social practice that shapes the society. As social theory helps us understand important concepts such as power, ideology, identity. Instead of only asking what is being said, critical discourse studies also, asks who is speaking and why they are speaking. And this is why social theory is very important in cities. It allows researchers to examine how discourse produces and reproduces power relations within society. For example, we can say that political speeches may often present government policies as being in the public interest. But social theory encourages us to to question that whether these benefits are whether these facilities, or we can say that are benefit for everyone who are involved in the society, or for only for those who are in the power already. So similarly, media discourse may represent one social group positively by portraying another group negatively. So, and social theory also helps us to understand these hidden ideologies. Therefore, without social theory, discourse analysis only describes language. With social theory, it explains the relationship between language, power, identity, and ideology. Next, the area which is discourse theoretical analysis, commonly known as DTA. The main idea of this area is that language does not simply does not reflect reality, but it also constructs the reality. In other words, social issues do not have one fixed meaning; their meanings are created through discourse. Different groups may describe the same event according to their beliefs, values, ideologies, and their perceptions. This means that the discourse is never neutral. And one of the most important contributions of DTA is that it helps researchers understand meanings are produced rather than simply accepting them as natural or permanent. And it also encourages us to ask critical questions such as who created this discourse, whose interest does it serve? And for example, one political party may describe migration as an opportunity, while another party may describe as a security threat. Although the issue is same, but the discourse creates two different meanings for the same issue. Now, the third area, which is about the critical discourse studies and media studies. Media is not simply as a source of information. Instead, it is a powerful institution that constructs social reality through discourse. The words, headlines, images, visuals are framed, used by the media organizations to influence the people, the thinkings, and understandings. So it selects the information, organizes, and presents it from a particular perspective. As we all know that they first framing and select the information to present it before the audience. So CDS therefore analyzes how media represents people, events, and social groups. For example, one news channel may describe a political protest as a peaceful public demonstration, while another may call some protest as a security threat. This is the same case. The case or issue is same, but they are presenting this in their different ways according to their ideologies, beliefs, and now I talk about the critical discourse studies and history. According to this area, every discourse has a historical background. No speech, text, or media messages appear suddenly. because every discourse is influenced by past events, past experiences, we can say that traditions. And history helps researchers to understand why a particular discourse emerged, how it has developed over time, and why it continues to influence the society today. And CDS therefore studies discourse not only present phenomena but also as a part of ongoing historical process. For example, political leaders often refers to independence movements, national heroes or historical struggles, because to strengthen the national identity and justify present day policies. These historical references make political speeches more persuasive and emotionally powerful. So, this is the key message of this area. Next, the area is about the critical discourse studies and politics. Politics and language are closely connected with each other. Because political power is largely exercised through discourse. Political leaders use speeches, election campaigns, policy documents, and debates, and slogans to influence public opinion and also influence their understandings and thoughts. CTS examines how political language constructs ideologies, persuades audiences, and legitimizes political decisions. There is another focus which is representation. Researchers analyze who is included and who is excluded, and whose voices receive greater attention in political communication. And every word is carefully chosen to achieve a particular political purpose. For example, during election campaigns, different political parties discuss the same national issues. However, each party presents those issues differently according to their own ideology and political goals. So, its main purpose is persuasive, ideological, and deeply connected with power. And the next area is about the critical discourse studies in applied linguistics. This area basically emphasizes that CDS is not limited to academic theory. Instead, it has practical applications in many different fields, like it can be applied in education, politics, healthcare, business, law, and many other fields. It helps researchers understand how language influences people's thinking, behavior, decision making also. And CPS also identifies hidden ideologies, meanings, and so on. For example, researchers can analyze school textbooks to identify gender stereotypes or biased representations of different social groups. Similarly, discourse analysis can be used to improve communication in healthcare, legal systems, and media organizations. And after discussing all these areas, one central idea becomes very clear that although every area is different, but from a different perspective, but they share a common message. And the message is that this discourse cannot be understood through a linguistics alone. Like social theory explains the relationship between language and society, and discourse theoretical analysis, which also known as DTA, explains how meanings are constructed, and media studies shows how discourse shapes public opinion, and history explains how the past influences presented discourse, and politics demonstrates how language exercises power. And applied context show how discourse analysis can improve real-life communication. Together, these areas prove that interdisciplinarity is greatest strength of CDS, critical discourse studies. So, if I conclude my part, then this part clearly demonstrates that language never exists in isolation. Every discourse is influenced by social, cultural, historical, and institutional context. And by integrating from different disciplines, CDS provides a and more comprehensive understanding of how discourse constructs identities, ideologies, and shapes public opinion. Therefore, interdisciplinarity is not a simple strategy. It is the foundation of critical discourse studies. So this was all about the interdisciplinarity. That's all from my side. If you want to add something, please.
Okay, one big concern or question that came to my head from listening to here. Interdisciplinarity, discourse studies. Is there any danger or risk that this discipline will be taken by maybe IR, critical science, other institutes, other departments? Why it is part of English department?
Administration focuses primarily on the language, which focuses massively primarily on poverty. So they want to study in a session small case.
So they may also start, introducing the course in the department, discourse studies, critical science, IR, discourse studies, history, discourse studies, mass communication, discourse studies. So can it be a subject in every department? Why it is the sole property of English department? Why nobody has yet dared to claim that this is part of their department?
Because they study but not as the domination of.
Yes. Why couldn't they dare to do that?
Because I think so, language is such a powerful tool that we use to do communication. So, literature is the only source that each and every single person would like to read, either as intensive reading or as an extensive reading. So, I think you go out to any department. Every person has a stance, or every person might have as a hobby. They read literature. So literature has the power to change the mind of the youth. So therefore, I believe that that's why it's the part of the literature. Because
This is not part of only literature, it's basically applied linguistics. Applied linguistics and discourse studies and CDA and now CDS and all that. The point is, like education department has hijacked one English program. ELT, English language teaching. They say education department means teaching, learning, practices, imparting education and skills, and English is one of them. And we, the teachers in the education department, we are capable of running this as a module or as a diploma or some degree or BS program or whatever. And wherever they got a chance, I get that. Everywhere, almost everywhere. So, do you see in future some department, and most likely IR and critical science department, claim that CDS is our subject?
Yes, they can claim this. Just because of that, they basically work on ideologies. They work on politics. Each and everything is directly linked with these two disciplines. But I think personally, just because of that, this is all about discourse. And discourse, the critical discourse analysis, it is all about a study about sentence and what is beyond the sentence. This is the reason for what we can say that this discipline belongs to us. This area of critical studies solely belongs to English department.
Well defined.
Yes.
Okay. So it means It is
just
fantasy. Nobody can dare to do that in future. One huge argument is that CDA practitioners, they are linguists.
Yes.
Ruth Porter, Bill Clark, and one they are either figures learning into linguistics, and as a result, starting point of discourse studies, the living linguists working as practitioners, CDA practitioners, and there are many people in even non-native English, world. They are CDA specialists in India and Africa and Pakistan. There are many people there. They are working into, they call themselves as CDA practitioners. Their area of research is discourse studies. Even Dr. HOD, he takes pride in declaring himself discourse and discourse studies. Even anybody in English department not dealing with literature has to deal with discourse studies, one way or the other. And then as a result, again answer to my question, no fear, no apprehension. This will be the part of English department. This will stay as part of English department. And my rest of the life, I'll be teaching, I'll continue teaching critical discourse studies to the generations of students and scholars, and I make them whatever CDA practitioners. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Nadia, for demonstrating how we series leads into social, political, and media fabrics, and using and historical elements also part of your interdisciplinary nature.
Critical discourse and traditional discourse and anything in where human beings are involved, CDA has something to do with it. CDS is there.
So here, this brings us to the fourth part, which is social belief and power. And here I will call Ms. Aisha. She will introduce these constructs, social belief and power, and how these are relevant to the discourse studies in current cultural context. Please, Aisha.
Thank you so much, sir. Assalamualaikum everyone, and thank you so much, sir, for giving a chance to talk about CDS or CDA. My part of discussion is social belief and power. If I talk about Ms. Afia's part, she clearly mentioned that to understanding the discourse, understanding the society is very important. So how we understand the society, obviously with the language.
Well, whatever points she says, I sometimes feel sad that, in CDA and discourse studies, a lot of Western exemplification is there. Study of Western society and then realization. Study of Western issues and then realization. And even bonding added, the combination to this discourse studies. An eastern part that is typically spiritual, self. If you divide the world into two halves, West, material, and Eastern, spiritual, the spiritual element is missing in discourse studies. The focus on Eastern societies, that is the most neglected area in discourse studies. And we sitting together, we must get some food for thought in today's session, that all our guns must be turned towards this direction, that we focus our own society, Eastern civilization, and then conclude and add to the existing body of knowledge in discourse.
Thank you so much, sir. So, as we all know, language is very important. If I define my part of discussion in one line, how it is all about how language can influence the way people think and how it can create or maintain part in the society. So, according to CBS, language is now neutral. It have meanings, it have values, it reflects our beliefs, it reflects our values, and also it reflects our power. So, today I will discuss five main areas which reflect our beliefs, values, that is class, then race, then gender, then nationalism, and finally the most extreme part is fascism. Let me start with the class. Class is not only about who is rich, who is poor. It is beyond something. It is mainly shaped by the things such as money, skills, behavior, living conditions, and living spaces as well. So, language can also show a person's social class. A very famous sociologist called this thing is linguistic capital. It means that the way people speak can give more opportunities and while others may face some disadvantages as well. So, if I give you an example to clear the concept about it, in Pakistan, speaking English is often connected with respect, success, and also with the leadership. And if I give you an example of a student, an English medium student and an Urdu medium student may have same ability, same intelligence, but people often judge them differently because of their accent, their vocabulary. Vocabulary, these things same happen in the UK. People who have received pronunciation, they are very known. And if someone have some regional kind of accent, they are facing some disadvantages as well. So, sir, here is a question, a very crucial question. So, are we judging people by their talent or simply by the way they speak?
To me, talent lies in hard work. Pygmalion by J.P. Shah is a play you must have read. There is a character, she takes a challenge, she changes her accent, and she quickly changes her class. In her class, she enters into the very high class by changing the accent. Now, if these are stupid kind of questions asked in the society. Is English medium has got the prestige and they have got accent and they are with English and as a result they open and they hegemonize and they dominate and all that. It's just a matter of 6 months. 6 months of focused hard work and you change accent and fluency and accuracy but what stops you from here? This cognition that is there. That when you are not willing to work hard, you put all the blame on the society, on the system, and all that, and then you don't apply yourself fully, and as a result, you later the whole life you lead a life full of complaints, and all the time bickering and beating and begging and pity like that. I'll give you an example from Islam. I'm proud that I am from Ajiyal, Rabika, Abbas family. Hazrat Abbas had 2 sons, Abdullah bin Abbas and Abdullah bin Abbas. We are a family. We are from Abdullah bin Abbas. Now, at that time, the Arab world did the best of the best, especially our tribes, the Martian. They spread all around the world. for trade and also for preaching Islam. They would move to new area and learn the language in 22 days. Just 22 days they would learn the language and then they would preach Islam in their language. And Islam is spread very fast. We have made this learning a language, this adopted language, it's need of the hour, it's lingua franca word. Just learn it within 6 months. And then later deal with knowledge and concepts and research and knowledge creation and spreading and dialogue between civilizations and representation of your own culture, ideology, and nation and society. Do all the rest after doing the basics. So this is my experience. Sorry, it was a response.
So, yes, sir. Thank you. Now let me move from class to race. Just as language can shape social class, it can also shape our ideas about race as well. Today, very few people who are openly talk about racist thing, but they are talk about it with the hidden friendly words like diversity, integration, and cultural fit. Famous scholar Susanna called this word racism. It means racism is still there, but it is hidden behind friendly and acceptable language as well. Here, her main idea is called racialization. It means race is not only something people are born with. It is also shaped by the language that people use around our society. For example, after the 9/11, the media of the West use two words together that are Muslims and terrorists. With this influence, people when listen the word Muslim, they become threatened. They have a fear about terrorism. But you know what is the fact that millions of Muslims are very peaceful. They are innocent. But you know, together these words, these media shapes our thinking, people thinking. They shape the mind of people that Muslims are terrorists. A scholar talk about EU policies about immigrants. These policies says that integration is a two-way process. It is clear. But however, when we read the policies very carefully, most of the responsibilities are just given to immigrants. They have to learn the language, they have to follow the values, they have to follow the culture of the country and find a job quickly. But if we focus on the host society role and the part, the responsibilities of the host society are not clearly mentioned. So although the policy sounds fair, but it puts more pressure on immigrants. We can also see this is in our everyday life. People with foreign accent may be treated unfairly, even if they speak English very well. So now let me move race to gender. Gender is very important and it is also shaped by the language. Just as language shapes our ideas about race, class, also language shape our thinking about the gender. We all know how society often divides people into two groups, men and women. So there are someone who gives some importance to one group to the others. But like for example, from the childhood we hear saying like boys don't cry, not older and girls should be polite. After hearing these ideas again and again, they begin to feel normal.
even should they are learned from society. So, this is where FCTA becomes important. It does not only study sexist language, but also study the hidden ideas about it. Like for example, in Pakistan, TV advertisement often show women is cooking, cleaning, or men are driving or doing jobs who is not a part of the house work. So a working woman who comes from home, late may be asked who's cooking dinner tonight, but a man is rarely asked the same question, right? So, Lazar explained that there are two types of power. The first is where men have more power in society, and the second is where small comments and expectations make women limit themselves without anyone forcing them.
Well, let me make you very cautious about one thing. CDS or CDA is very, very dangerous weapon if it is given in the hands of incapable. It's double-edged weapon. It's a dangerous weapon. It can make you rebellious. It can make you rascal. It can make you destroy the social and ethnic fabric. When you wear CDA lenses without the divine guidance, without spiritual self-control, your father becomes not the father, but the father. He is the manipulator. He is the dominant. He is the hegemonic design, patriarchy, a monster, and so much so that you will take the pistol and fire. These are happening. And typically in Sialkot, the divorce rate is very high. Why? Feminism and CPA, agenda and Western thoughts, you wear those Western thoughts in such an unmindful manner that husband is no more a husband, he is a rascal.
Yes.
He is a good owner. And your job is to stand against it and make him not away from the family. And they run away. They don't stay. A male enters a home where it is peaceful. He seeks peace. Allah Almighty Quran also says that women are the peace for husband, for their home, for their home. So social fabric is being destroyed because CDA practitioners are not playing a wonderful role in putting the wrong things right by conscious efforts. And that is why PDA, that is also a positive discourse. Positive discourse. So, though in CDA also the word critical is not mindful of that kind finding fault. So, especially the leading scholars, the moral tenets of future, Pakistani educational dynamic scenario, you have to bring order in the society, not promote chaos in the society by taking the gun of CDS. Okay? Again, there is a
The final point is also related to this one, fascism.
Yes.
Now, the sheer namely, the teacher is manipulator, power, he has all the power and he has hegemonic design and he is using knowledge as a power and he is doing mind control. And I'm under, being subjugated by the power of male teacher. And how dare the male teacher try to dominate the female supervisors? This is Iblis here. Iblis was what? Is a rebel. when Allah Almighty said simple thing, go in front of other men. He said, when I made a fire goes up. I made a plate, it goes down. I'm millions of years of age and he's few years, few days of age. I'm superior, I by count of ibadah, each inch of planet Earth, 50,000 of sajda, he has yet to open an account, bickering. And then second example, Bani Israel, slaughter a cow. Question, what color should it be, what age should it be, what continuous bickering, and as a result, earning the wrath of Allah. Allah doesn't like anybody doing transgression. Hududullah are there, and those Hududullah, father, son, they have to maintain this. Wife, husband, they have to maintain that. Unfortunately, this beauty of Eastern culture that has not been portrayed in Western studies. And it is one way traffic, and as a result, our youth, our scholars, our researchers, they are going in the wrong direction. And I've seen many senior philosophy, and I feel so, my heart beats on their cognition, on their approach towards life, on their way they create kind of environment and context, they make it toxic, and as a result, what I do as a clinician, when it is too much of it, I change the workplace. Very soon, maybe a couple of years, I change the workplace again. But it happens because we as CPA practitioners, we are not representing our own beautiful civilization and society.
And this is a very unfortunate. Western countries, they are penetrating their norms, through their norm values, through discourse basically. They are introducing such kind of discourses to us, and in such way they are penetrating in our civilization.
God says, "एक जुर्म ज़ईफ़ी की सज़ा मरने वाला है." Very well said. If you are weak, you deserve to die. No, our ideology, our philosophy, our civilization is not weak. Yes. Our self-image is poor and weak, and as a result, they dominate our population. Yes. That is the challenge.
So let me move from gender to nationalism. Just as language shapes our ideas about gender, race, and class, it also shapes our ideas about nation. Ruth Wardick clearly mentioned that nation is an imagined family. Millions who never meet, yet feel united through the flags, anthems, and shared phrases like Isparcham ke Sai. Nationalism always does two jobs at once, welcomes people in, pushes others out. Nationalism, here I have an example. Nationalism is also about us versus them lines moves. It together people, but it also separate us from versus them. Like how, for example, during election, politicians often use words like protect our culture or two patriarchs. These words create strong emotions and encourage people to support one side. However, language can also unite people. So, let me talk about fascism, the most extreme form of language and power. Famous scholar explained that fascism is not about one powerful leader. It is a movement that includes extreme nationalism, hatred toward other groups, and threat to democracy. It also needs
is the sport of large number of people. A clear example at Nazi's Germany, though newspaper, radio, schools, propaganda was repeated again and again until many people believed that one group was better than other. Today, fascist language does not always appear openly. It often hides behind the words like criticism, law and order, or saving the nation. Social media can also spread these messages, very quickly again and again because emotional content get more attention. So here is our question for you people: are we thinking for ourselves, or are we being influenced by the language we hear every day?
Obviously, we are influenced by language.
And we hear every day.
You know, the words, Bible also starts in the beginning there was word, and word was God, and God said, let there be light, and there was light, and God said, let there be days, and there were days. Word is very powerful. Yes. Impact of word is very powerful. Now, word is basically the discourse. Now, when you listen through your ears. There is listening process. So that becomes part of your short-term memory, and then it becomes a part of your long-term memory, and then it becomes part of you, and then it leads you to take action. So your actions basically they are in the base there is word, which you listen from some source, surroundings, some context. Now that word can be sweet like honey, that word can be poisonous, very bitter like poison. And accordingly, if you don't process that by the processing which is there inherent in you, that is your sixth sense or your humanity or your conscience, then you go out of control, driven by the word. But the ones who do self-reflection and anti-control, automatic negative thought control, self-psychotherapy. Now for them, your outside words, they make you a football. And your hits all around, and as a result, you, instead of declaring yourself Ashwatan God, Aswatan me, you become Aswata. Words than actions. Words are very crucial. Words do have impact, and that is why they say take care of your company and you will be better. Bad company will destroy you forever, and good company will make you and tell you to do something great.
Instead words are like two-edged swords. For example, someone says anybody that you are not really right. Might be possible for whole day he or she to think that I am not doing work. Am I don't know presentable, or is there something that in me? So that definitely words affects the person's psychology and his personality.
Exactly, and there is the verse from Proverbs when there are people with trucks of crashes and they are trying to turn those trucks of crashes on you, scar be away from them because their words are very poisonous.
Take the thing off.
Yes. Say one.
Yes, thank you, Saisha, for this powerful presentation on social ingredients and power and community. We have now completed our individual theoretical journeys. However, theory is good if there is a kind of practical application. To conclude this discussion, we will move towards applications of science. So let's start with Mr. Anjan. How we can embed practicality with theoretical resolution approaches.
And sir, as we have studied that CBS, CBA, interdisciplinary, and they have been divided into many fields. They are called as linguistics. So, as if we talk about the part which I presented, I talk about the probability, normalization, modality, and other features of text. And if you talk about the practical use of these, I think let's take the example of media. In media, they use normalization and probability to hide the subjects, to hide the doer, because there is a philosophy behind. Similarly, in the legal system, the language is very objective. Most of the decisions are written in excluding the judge, means all the decisions are in experts. Similarly, if you look at the social media language, we find with hashtags, that is kind of literature we are mentioning the things which is present now, and we are becoming a part of. Similarly, in WhatsApp groups, there are features, particularly in groups, there are discussions instead of replying to that, and we different emojis are used to show that where you stand and either you are part of it or not. So I think all these linguistic features can be applied to different fields like the legal field, journalism, social media, branding,
Yes,
education, even text, language, that what kind of, even the school text, what kind of ideology you promote use it, and they do change the rest of the time. Without textbook to have a lot of textual material about Java, it is no more available. And now even the new policy is including the following one from school, college, to university. Also, indicates what is the philosophy of the world, that what they want students to know and learn. This is what they were trying to previous education system. So I think all these linguistic features are very prominent in different fields. They have been studied, they have studied, and so I think this is interesting.
Very good. So if I add something in this regard, all the projects I have mentioned in my part that can be applied even on a single segment of social media. We can apply directly conversational approach to social media posts. We can apply social cognitive approach. We can even apply and analyze feminist discourse through these approaches, and we can even find certain positive elements from these kinds of approaches and domains. So practicality is always there, and there must be an application, practical application, which must be relevant to theory.
yes.
So theory basically guides us towards application. That is why application is important. Knowing this subject, how you will guide us, how you will basically add something relevant to practical application of skills.
Yes, practical applications are very important. I mean, I think in my point of view, instead of theory it just guides us. But when we apply the things in different fields, we learn a lot of things with the practical applications in real life situations.
I think
Yes.
yes. Just
Precisely.
so suddenly, my part of the discussion is about class and gender.
Yes.
So I relate this division with the media as well because media play a very vital role if I talk about the class. Many people learn from the reality shows how to speak, how to dress up, and how to transform the language to present themselves as a elite class people. So then if I talk about gender, so second branding advertisement are very important in this area. If we saw many advertisement about cooking oil, we saw a girl who's in kitchen. If we saw the advertisement of finance and banking, we saw the men's are in the bank card. So, according to Lazar, these gender roles are not natural. They are depicted through media until they seem normal. So, yes, for me, practical application, media play a very vital role in branding or in advertisement as well.
Okay, I'll try to be a bit philosophical regarding this practical application of studying CDA, being CDA student or scholar as such. It makes you a better human being. The moment you are well versed and you claim that you are a CDA researcher or a scholar, you automatically start gaining contextual wisdom, which is so very important to be a good human being and successful human being. The moment you display contextual wisdom in practical life, you know yourself and you know the other and you know the context. And then you act accordingly and wisely. And as a result, you make an impact and you grow happiness, you know, grace, you flourish like fragrance of flowers. If you are truly CDA. Why? Because when you are into a context, you know others, their merits and demerits, you quickly assess the scenarios, and you quickly reach to the conclusions, and you quickly take decisions and actions, and you quickly come out of bad scenarios, and you quickly decide to stay in that wonderful scenario which is good for your mental health, for your spiritual health. So, to me, to be a CDA scholar, I start with Allah Almighty's divine discourse. This scholar hoga ilm laayega inni jaayil fil ardi khalifa hasta. Allah Almighty is announcing in front of the angels that I am going to create a caliph by Khalifa and the moment Adam al-Islam, I am your father, he was created, discourse came into existence. And with discourse, two parties came into existence. The parties which were the Hamani party and Shilani party. The parties of that and the parties of that. CDA plays with these dichotomies. Manipulator and manipulated and dominant and dominated. The one who organizes and the one who is nice. Division. The moment Adam Islam was sent to the planet, Habil, Kabil, and so on is in front of him. Kabil, the murderer, the Zalim, Habil, the Muslim. Mazlum and Zalim, their division, that is there in focus of CDA scholars. And they are always mindful that there are two parties, one party is suffering and I have to side with that party. Be with Mazlum and go against Zalim, this is CTA. CTA makes you a wonderful human being, a wonderful moment, and Mona, and wonderful Muslim.
So to wrap up this great discussion, finally I really request you for very short and precise feedback to be any suggestion for betterment for Mr. Hamzat and for our research, oriented presentations and whatever and listening. This is
Well, one feedback is, this discipline includes certain points. When in front of the camera, you people lost your focus, concentration. You became easy to get but that should not be it. Rest, I don't know about the body quality. Anjit could have improved his voice quality very loud and clear. I hope this recording device will work and inshallah. That was my observation. Regarding the accuracy, I really wanted this to happen, the final exam performance, after 4 or 5 years, 4 to 5 years. And I should have been part of those years. Only then it would have been really wonderful. But still it was wonderful. The plan part was that very well smooth transition and then discussion based on that, a complete package starting point. There was some deficiency regarding our starting with religion and history of discourse studies, how grammar, grammarians who were brought into linguistics and text linguistics and discourse analysis to people discourse analysis and now practical discourse studies. And then whatever way starting with a little on, there was a practical Aisha, and then finally. So it was all wonderful, excellent job, great work, and inshallah, Amjad, you have one more GCP in future.
more than one second.
One more specific.
In one special we have 3.
But it depends, what we will be studying next semester.